I'm gonna show you the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let me show you these grapes since we talking about it. Oh, look at there's a little bee in there. Oh, it's gone. If I plant enough, something is going to grow. I'm not pruning. We have some black beauties growing. How beautiful. Like the inside of this peach is so sweet. Hello, welcome to Yellow Door Urban Homestead. I am Asia and I'm an urban gardener growing in a small space out of my backyard. Today though, we're gonna do a garden tour and probably like harvesting all at the same time. I have been out of town for a week. First part of that week was vacation with my daughter for her birthday. Not our official vacation, but she likes to go out of town for her birthday. Second part of that was a conference for work that was 3 days long. So I left on Thursday of last week, no, week before last, and then we came back on Sunday. And then on Sunday, I rested for a few minutes, and then I drove to the conference. And then I came back on Wednesday, right? So, and then I had to go back to work on Thursday. So we are now out here. I've been out here a few times. I've absolutely watered. I'm still using the sprinkler, but I'm going to tell you all about that. I am in zone 7B in Virginia. I grow in my backyard. It's just a normal size urban backyard. I grow in bags. I grow in ground. I grow in raised beds, and I grow in no-dig beds. I also grow on trellises, so I have cattle panel trellises if you are new here. I got those from Tractor Supply. Someone asked me about the size. Not sure of the size, but I do think the color on them was yellow. Maybe even green. It's one of the two. I went there and I purchased the cheapest cattle panel they had, and then I cut them. Some of them are cut, some of them are not. I have a greenhouse that I was trying to grow in. Not that one. That's the drying and the just storing greenhouse. But I have another greenhouse, and I was trying to grow in it this year, but my calendar for June was crazy. And then not to mention it got super hot here in June. So that looks terrible. I'm still going to show you. I'm probably going to start pulling stuff out of there and maybe even replanting, because I don't think anything in there is going to make it. But let's see. Let's look around the garden. It doesn't look the best because, like I said, June was crazy, but we are back. My July calendar is clear right now, so excited about that. But we're going to go and look around the garden, and I'm going to show you the good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay, so let's be clear. I have not fertilized a thing. Like, not one thing has been fertilized. But everything is looking good, though, although it hasn't been fertilized. I am going to fertilize because I feel like I would get better production if I fertilize, and I'm going to fertilize with comfrey tea. And a few people have asked me, what is comfrey? Comfrey is a plant that has a really deep taproot. And so it is said to be like way more nutrition, have like a lot of different vitamins and things in it, because the taproot can go down deep and grab nutrients that other plants can't grab. And so that is what I'm fertilizing with this year when I fertilize. But let's start with the potatoes, because once I finish this garden tour with y'all, I'm going to start another video and we're going to harvest these potatoes. They look pretty bad, but growing potatoes, when they start to look bad is when it's time for you to harvest the potatoes. Okay, so you know we harvest those 3 bags a while ago, but these are the rest of the potatoes. They look pretty bad. I probably could let them go a little bit longer, but I'm not sure that it's going to make a big difference. These are the potatoes that volunteered on their own, and so they look pretty bad too. So it may really just be that it's hot out here, and they're not interested in all of this heat. We have been in the high 90s, close to 100 some days, and so it's just really hot. So we are going to harvest those in another video today. But I also want to show you something. I do believe that this is a potato that is ready to be harvested, and it's starting to sprout again. So we definitely want to get these out of the bags, see what we got. But look at them. Do y'all remember how big and bushy they were? They are no longer. So potatoes will be ready. I can't wait to harvest them. Y'all know, like, harvesting potatoes is one of my favorite things. The other thing is, y'all know I dig and poke and steal all year long. So let's just go ahead and harvest them at this point. Across from the potatoes are the peppers. So this is a shishito pepper. I've harvested off of this probably 3 times now we've eaten them, but they look really, really good. And right beside it is a Jimmy Nardello that has lots of peppers on it as well. These are all growing in bags. I do have some that's in the beds, and I'll show you those. And that's another one. This is a Golden Marconi. So beautiful. They get really big normally. I do believe my lack of fertilizing is the reason why they haven't gotten like as big as they normally do. But we're gonna get back on our fertilizing schedule and see how they do. But let me show you those 3 peppers that we moved. I didn't amend the bags because I wanted to see if the comfrey fertilizer, which I have not even put into these bags, I wanted to see if that was enough. But I want to show you them. And if you saw the video when we moved these here out of the greenhouse, because I wasn't taking care of them, not really sure how to grow in a greenhouse, if you remember that, just wait and see what you're about to see. So this is number 1. That's one of the ones that we moved out of the greenhouse right there. That's number 2. How awesome, right? It doesn't look like it was struggling at all. This is one of those small yellow ones. How cool, right? I love that. And then here's the other one that I told you I was really struggling. It is getting its footing. The top leaves are looking a little rough, and it's probably because they dried out quite a bit while I was gone. And peppers don't mind drying out, but just like any other plant, they're gonna need some water at some point. But those are those 3 that we moved. They were little yellow and they were struggling. So listen, like I always say, do not give up on a plant. Plants will grow. They just need to have what they need to grow. So those are those peppers. And this is the other bed of peppers that we have. This is the one that I told y'all I thought wasn't gonna make it. It's still trying. I never pulled it. I said I was going to, but I didn't. But it's still trying to grow. Back here we have some Jimmy Nardellos that are growing. Right here I've harvested these. These are the Fair Orzon peppers. So I've harvested from this already. And they're growing back. This is my habanada, and it grew a little bit shorter, a little bit longer. It took it to get its footing, but this is that, and you can see we have flowers on it, so super excited about that. We have some jalapenos here. I probably need to go ahead and harvest those. Yeah, they came off really easy. So there you have it, some jalapeno peppers. And there are more flowers coming on that jalapeno too, so excited. We have some cayenne long. They're kind of all in there and growing too. This right here is a Alasia pepper. So that one looks like it's probably going to start blushing soon because it's turning yellow and it was green. I don't know how that's showing up on the camera. And then we have the Maraski, I think. It's a purple pepper. First time growing this, but they're growing pretty nicely too. So still a little green, so I'm going to leave them. These are shishitos that we moved out of the greenhouse as well. Not doing as well as the ones in the bag, but we're going to leave them and see. So in my area, 7B in Virginia, peppers will grow right up until the last frost. And that's why I'm not worried too much about the ones that are still small, the ones that I had to... Oh, look at this. That is a part of the grapevine. The grapevine that I did not, The grapevine that I did not prune this year is growing wild. But let me show you these grapes since we talking about it. Y'all see that? It's grapes all in this mess of vines. Look, all over here, grapes everywhere. Let's see, look at that. All kinds of grapes, all in these vines. And those are muscadine grapes, so they're good for wine making as I understand it. But I just like to eat them. They do have a pit inside of them. The skin is very tough, so you spit all of that out. But they're like very sweet. Like, I really do like muscadine grapes. And so that is what I'm growing here. Next year, we're gonna cut this back a lot because it's growing everywhere. It's growing up the trellis where you first come in. You see that? Like all of that is grapevine. So We're gonna get that. It's growing up my apple tree. Look at that, all the way over. We are going to cut that way back next year. But for this year, we're just gonna let it grow. We're gonna get all of our grapes and then we're gonna enjoy those. So right beside the peppers, we put in a whole bunch of different squash. And you can see they're growing. We have flowers. I don't have any squash yet, but they've just kind of started growing and hitting their growth spurt. But we have flowers. Oh, look at there's a little bee in there. Oh, it's gone. I always love to see bees in my plants because it means that I have some pollinators here and that I'm probably going to get some fruit, right? We love that, or vegetables. But so yeah, that's the squash area, but there's squash all over the garden because if you've been here for a while, you know I struggle with squash vine borer, and I was like, if I plant enough, something is going to grow. And then right across from the squash are the tomatoes that are in bags. I still have not done any kind of pruning. And I would say that last year when I had this week-long thing going on and I was not at home, when I came back, my tomato plants looked crazy. And I had to pull a lot of brown off, a lot of yellow off, a lot of what I think was disease off of the plants. I did not have to do that this year. Now, I'm not saying anything about it. I don't know why that is the case. But it was not the case this year. I did not have a lot of things going on. And there are lots of tomatoes in these plants. I'm going to show you. So right here, we have quite a few in there. One right there, two there, there. So you can't really see them if you're looking just staring. But there are a lot of tomatoes in here, and I'm very happy for that. I'm still not going to prune, and I know people say it, you have to prune. I'm not pruning. I'm not going to prune them. I'm going to see what I can do without pruning them. See, like right here, let me show you some more. Right there, there's more right there too. Another one in there. All over there, if you can see them. I don't know if you can or not. But that is the case with all of the tomatoes. I had my first sungold yesterday. It was so delicious. So the tomatoes are doing well over here. I'm going to show you the paste tomatoes that are not doing well. But I do think I know what it is. And the plants are doing fine. But the tomatoes have blossom end rot. And so I think there's two things. Not getting enough water. So that's what I was going to tell you about the sprinkler. The things that are in the bags that are bushy are not getting water to the soil, I do not think, because they're bushy. Like I said, I did not prune. So I'm going to start hand watering the bags of tomatoes. Everything else that was in the bag looks fine, but I don't think the sprinkler is getting down into the bag. Also, I did not fertilize, and so it could be fertilizing and it could be watering. I really think it's the watering though, because there are other things in these bags that I fertilize the exact same way. They're growing just fine. I think that the plant is not able to pull up the nutrients because the soil is not moist. So that's what I think it is. So before I do any kind of extra, I'm just gonna start trying to water a little bit better. I'm fertilizing everything today anyway, but I'm not gonna do anything extra aside from what I'm doing for everything else in the garden, except for start to water by hand the bags with tomatoes in it. So right beside those tomatoes, we still have beautiful zinnias that I have not picked, but they still look really good. They're still producing beautiful zinnias, and we're probably gonna harvest some of those when we harvest the potatoes, but they all really look good. The plants look really good. Oh, by the way, probably gonna get our first Kilimanjaro marigold, and that's exciting. And then all down in between these zinnias are beans. And I've harvested beans a couple of times now. There's probably more beans that need to be harvested in that group. But that's why I have my sleeves on too, because just itchy and things of that nature, sliding my hands all down in there. So that's why I have my sleeves on today, because we are, like I said, going to do a big harvest of whatever I have. So when I say big, I'm gonna harvest everything I have. Whether it's gonna be big or not, I don't know, because like I said, the tomatoes aren't ready yet. The peppers are still, starting to grow too. I planted out, if you're new here, the first week of May instead of waiting for, well, not waiting. Instead of planting as soon as my last frost came, I waited until May. I did that last year. Everything was fine, and so it just helps me not to be in a rush, or if we were to get a frost, then I would have to come out here and cover things up. So first week of May is when I plant out my things. So right beside the zinnias are more tomatoes, slicers, and if you can see, we have slicers growing. Pretty excited about that. No blossom end rot over here. No blossom end rot. What we do have is a tomato hornworm somewhere. And I did find that when I came back. But I'm leaving them because tomatoes will grow new leaves out of these areas. And so just because they ate the top doesn't mean that we're going to lose the whole plant. And like right here, we have a small one growing, and it actually looks like there's two growing in one. So we'll see how that goes. But there's a lot of other blossoms where we're probably going to get some more tomatoes. One of the things I love to see, you see that spider? Yep, excited. Spiders keep other bugs away. So when I see a spider in my garden, and they're all over my garden. This year, they were all over my garden. Last year, I leave them. I love to have them here. They keep other bugs away. All right, right beside those tomatoes that I just showed you this is another tomato. It's on a stake though. I think it's my Black Beauty. And we have some Black Beauties growing. How beautiful. That's a tomato I grew last year. And I was just like, I have to grow it again because I just felt like it should have been prettier. When you looked at the pack, it was like really dark and really black. Mine were more auburn, I guess, or burgundy colored last year. So I grew them again because I really want to see, like, are they supposed to get dark black or no? All right, beside that Black Beauty tomato is a comfrey plant. This is the one comfrey plant I still have in a pot, and I need to put it in the ground. I just haven't had a chance. It is growing all over the lemon balm, but the lemon balm looks good. There's a little bit of browning on the edge of the leaves, but it still looks good. Right behind that is that pineapple sage that we planted together. Do you remember? Look how big that pineapple sage has gotten. This was a tiny little start when I put it into this Vigo garden bed. This is a Vigo garden raised metal bed. Really love it, really love it. There is a link below if you are interested. This right here, I'm trying to remember what this is. Oh, this is verbena. Verbena is a medicinal herb that I have no idea how I use it, how you're supposed to use it, but I do want to get it growing so that I can start to use it. Probably not going to harvest it this year. I'm going to let it grow and then let it come back next year because herbs grow bigger and bigger every year. So that's what I'm doing here. Not going to harvest it this year though. Also in this bed is basil. So I just threw an extra basil plant I had in here, and I had took the top of this before I left, and so now it's getting much bushier. Here's one back here I need to take the top of too, but that'll be a part of the harvest video. And then there's more verbena over there. That is a daisy, but it didn't grow well. However, daisies are perennial here. It's a Shasta daisy, so it'll come back next year, grow bigger. And so this bed is just getting started. I put sweet potatoes in this bed last year. They didn't do as well, so I was like, I'm turning this bed into a perennial herb bed. The basil is not perennial, but it was extra, so I threw it in there. There's also a marshmallow plant in here. One of those 3 marshmallows I put in here did take off, and so that's another thing that I will leave until next year. There's a marshmallow plant over here. This is an anise hyssop, but behind it is also a marshmallow plant. This is a part of it. And so I'm leaving it because it'll come back next year. So that's that bed, the Vigo garden bed. We switched it into a medicinal herb bed. Just wanted to show you an update on it. And right down beside that bed is mint. And so this is all the mint, all in containers, because I don't want it to take over. I don't want it to take over a garden bed. So I leave it in pots. Someone asked me if I still have orange mint. I do not think I do. I think it didn't come back. I'm not sure what happened with the orange mint, but where did I get it from? Because I think someone asked that too, like where did I get it from? I got it from a seed swap. Someone sent me cuttings of it and I sent them something. I don't know what it was. Someone out in Texas sent it to me. I probably had 6 different mint varieties, but now I'm down to 3. So right beside that, hyssop. And the hyssop is beautiful and the bees love it. That's the hyssop, and then behind it is the marshmallow. It's still a blueberry plant that is waiting for the blueberries to come to harvest, to ripen. So this is one that I moved away from the rest of the blueberry plants because when I originally started my garden, it wasn't supposed to be all of this, and it was kind of in what turned into a walkway. So I just moved it one year in fall, and it took just fine to this space, and it is growing. Beside that blueberry plant, we have a bunch of bean plants down here. There's a beautiful basil in here too that is growing. It looks like a Genovese, but I'm not 100% sure. But I think it's a Genovese basil. There's some purple opal basil in here. That's another purple opal basil back there too. And then lots of beans that need to be harvested, but we'll get those soon. Also, look at this. My blue butterfly plant is finally giving me some blue butterfly. They're so beautiful. And these are not the peas. They're not the can't think of the name of them, but sweet peas. These are not sweet peas. These are blue butterfly flowers, and they are edible. They don't have a taste really, but it changes the color. You can make tea out of them, but I just think they're very, very pretty. So they don't really have a smell to them either. It's a very faint smell, but I think they're very pretty. So I want them to go up this trellis just as a pretty little display, and I can use them if I want. They climb very well up a trellis. So another thing that's doing really well on this trellis is my amaranth. It's gotten really tall. This is a Love Lies Bleeding amaranth plant. I would love to see it get large, like the little flowers get larger, and they probably will. This area is a bit shaded. And then these are Cuckoozy gourds. So they are pretty cool looking, but they are finally started to go up the trellis as well. So excited about that. I really want my trellises to like fill out. They normally do fill out. It's just, like I said, I planted a little bit later, and so they're getting their footing to start going all the way up the trellis and then covering this trellis, and it'll be so cute. Other thing is right across from this trellis that I just showed you with the bush beans and the amaranth, Cuckoozy gourd, and the blue butterfly flower. Oh, the other thing that's back here is the roselle. So that's starting to grow really well too. So roselle gets really big, and I grew them last year, and they didn't seem to like actually start being ready for harvest and the pretty little flowers growing on them until they look like hibiscus flowers, beautiful flowers. And that didn't happen until late in the year. So I know that now. I have no worries, just giving them their time. And the nasturtium, pretty nasturtium. I showed you in my last video that these are edible. The leaves are edible. All of it's edible. Even when the seed comes, you can eat the seed. So beautiful nasturtiums. But across from that are more nasturtiums that aren't doing as well, but you know, it's fine. Like I said, I give everything some time. On this trellis behind it are some cucumbers that are starting to go up the trellis as well, so we'll be excited to get some cucumbers. There is a basil plant that is trying to flower on me. I always grab those, and that's how I keep my basil going all summer long. I've never tried the basil after it flowered, like if I actually let that go to flower. I've never tried it to see like if there's a much different taste, but following the garden rules, I pull the flowers off. But I will take this in the house because it hasn't flowered yet, and then I'll still use it. I don't follow most garden rules. I really don't, but there are some that I do follow, and this is one of them. So some other things that are back here. This is another squash plant or zucchini. And there's another squash or zucchini plant right here as well. Like I said, I threw them everywhere just in hopes that something would take and I would get some squash or zucchini because I love them both. So now we are going to go, I'm trying to go like in a line for you. So I did the first line. Now we're going to go down this middle section. And I'm going to show you this middle bed. That looks amazing, y'all. So we'll start with the blueberry plants. They are pretty much done, the ones in the middle. There are still some small blueberries on them that are going to come ready. So we still have the blueberry plants in the middle. Looking good. Not a lot of blueberries on them anymore. Like I said, shared them with the birds. I did put mine in the freezer before I left. We had a bunch in the house. So I just washed them, put them in the freezer, and we can use those later. But let me show you the bed. It's just so pretty. Also, those dwarf sunflowers, when they say dwarf, they don't mean super small apparently, because they are pretty tall. I don't think I'm going to get any melons this year. What I do know is next year, I'll get the melons started going up the trellis, and then whatever I'm going to plant in front of them, because I planted very densely this year, whatever I'm going to plant in front of them, I will plant them next, because my melons didn't stand a chance once the basil and the beans started growing. But anywho, look at that. It's supposed to be a dwarf sunflower. To me, it is huge. Look at that guy. Oh my God, I don't know what it is, but hopefully it's nothing that's going to damage anything. But look at all the sunflowers. There should be some in here, but they didn't grow. And then there's one more over there. And then, of course, all the basil needs to be topped. Literally, all of this basil needs to be topped. Like, there's another one, another flowering stalk that we'll just pull off. Keep it from flowering, keep the basil going. But we'll do all of that in our next harvest video. And then, of course, there are bean plants down here with beans that need to be harvested. Look at that one. Well overgrown. I like mine much smaller than that, but we'll still eat them. And this year, I started to saute my beans instead of boiling them. Just saute them with some salt, pepper. I do put Cajun seasoning on them sometimes, but they're delicious. Like, I prefer them now over having them boiled with, like, I cook them with, I saute them with bacon grease. So much better. And that's what I started doing this year. And I like them. I think they taste really good. And then in the corner of this bed, you have some more calendula. I just put some calendula in this bed just to let it be here. It was pretty. And then this is the calendula seed pod. So if you let it dry, you pull off the flower. Right in there are the calendula seeds. So it's pretty cool. And someone saw me throw this back into the bed, which I'm going to do today too, and they were like, those are edible. Like that the leaves are edible. I know. But once they're spent, I won't use them. I'll just throw them back into the bed in hopes of getting a volunteer next year. But I absolutely saved my calendula, and I do plan to use it, make some salve. Not sure I would eat them. Haven't tried them before, but I hear you can just take the petals off and eat it. So it's cool, but if they're spent, I don't keep them. And so there's also a few nasturtiums in this bed too. This is a beautiful one. I think it's so pretty, such a deep color. I like it. But that bed always produces so well for me. Like, whatever I put in there, it's gonna be bushy and just like, it's all gonna just grow. Like I said, melons, not gonna get them, unfortunately, but that was my fault because I didn't think about the fact that the basil and things were gonna take off so fast. So now on to the last row. Of course, you have the asparagus. Looking amazing, considering I know that the reason that they're ferning at all is so it can get its energy for next year. So while it is not edible right now, I know next year it'll bring me more asparagus, and so that keeps me going. Oh, completely forgot to show y'all. This is the trellis when you come in. These aren't doing so well. Also planted out much later, so we'll see what happens. But I think it's tromboncino squash mostly. This doesn't look like tromboncino. It very much is given, I don't know what it's given. It might be a melon, I'm not sure. But either way, we're gonna wait and see what happens to them because they don't look good right now. All right, over here we have our snapdragons. We still have this Swiss chard that I want to save seed from. It is taking forever to give me some seed, but I am leaving it. The other Swiss chard that was right beside it, it just fell over and it was all over everything, so I had to pull that. But I staked this with a bamboo stake, and I'm just hopeful because I want the seeds from it. So it's mid-June and it is still just here taking up space. But we have more squash plants. It's either squash or zucchini, and they're trying to grow too. So excited about that because that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted it everywhere. There's still a few leeks here, and we still have the vole going through the bed. I just go through and stand as much as I can when I can, and that's what we're doing right here. I'm leaving this space mostly because these squash are going to get really big, and if they grow well, they'll fill this space out. These are the first beans that we planted this year, and so they're just about ready to be pulled, but there's still some beans in there that can be harvested. Nothing like extravagant, but there's still beans in here that can be harvested. But in the next week or so, they're also starting to grow oddly. We'll probably pull these plants and plant more beans in there. Y'all, the marigolds have started to bloom. So excited. I think I started these myself. No, I don't think. I absolutely started them myself. But they're finally starting to bloom. I really love marigolds, so they're starting to bloom. I'm excited about that. And then there's more basil right behind the marigolds. And there were squash plants in here too, but they didn't do much. I don't even know if they're still in there or not. But the basil, there's more that's trying to start flowering, but I'm gonna go ahead and pull those. This whole row is basil. And then back here, you have the tree collards that look pretty awful. But in the summer, we already knew they were gonna look awful. I'm just leaving them. I do feed the leaves to the chickens sometime, and they'll just keep growing. So we'll just leave them until the weather is conducive for their growth, and then they'll just keep growing like trees. Right beside that bed is the other block bed, and the fennel is looking amazing, y'all. I'm pretty excited. And y'all remember, this is where the cat was, and she was just making my life really bad. But the fennel is starting to look really good, and so this will be my first time growing fennel. Can't wait to try it. As I understand it, people are saying that it tastes like, one of the things that I was able to kind of relate with is when you eat sausage, like Italian sausage. I think that's the taste you're getting, so I think that I will love it, although I'm not a licorice girl, but I do like the taste of Italian sausage, so can't wait for those to be ready to harvest. There are more beans back there. There are more beans back here. This was the second set of beans that I had planted, so those will be ready to go soon too. But there are lots of flowers still on them. This is a purple variety. They turn green when you cook them, but they're pretty to look at. But yeah, those are all the beans, and see, there's more beans in there that I need to harvest. More marigolds over here, coming ready to harvest too. Hey, what am I looking at right there? Hold on, y'all. So y'all know I love honey boat squash, right? And they all look like they weren't growing. But look, it's not growing on the trellis. It has hooked itself to the sunflower. Oh, nice. That's exciting. Well, it's hooked itself to a lot of things. I'm so excited. I do have a honey boat squash. The rest of them did not grow, but look at that. Just noticed that. I was like, wait, that's a honey boat squash over there. Super excited about that. Oh, yes. I'm excited. I just kind of snapped it, but hopefully it'll keep growing. I snapped it trying to pull it. I'm excited. Honey boat squash is so delicious. Last year I didn't do well with it. This year looks like I only got one plant, but cross your fingers for me. Cross your fingers for me. All All right, so back to the marigolds over here. They're growing really well. There are some calendula in here, not doing well, but I'm leaving them, still seeing what happens. Behind it is some more basil. The cilantro is ready to go. It has dried up. We need to save those seeds for coriander. And then, let me see if I can get a better view for you. In the back is all of the kale. That resembles, it resembles the tree collards, right? Because it's not the season and the bugs are eating them. But they did not flower, so I'm going to leave them. When it cools down, perhaps I'll already have some kale going for the season. My camera's getting hot. I'll be back. Okay, we are back. So we did the second block bed, and so now we're gonna go right beside it to a no dig bed that's over in the corner. And so everything that you see, I'm gonna show you in a minute, that's like if you're walking into my garden, it's all the way to the end. Most of that gets a good amount of shade throughout the day, but a lot of things are still growing. This is a bed of just a bunch of things. And there are some open spaces, but we still have the deal going. I did not pull that out because I can still use this, but there's more basil over here. There's a bunch of beans in there that I need to get. There were beans here, somehow they just didn't grow, and this is a deal plant as well. So we still have the calendula. That's not looking as bloomy, but it's mostly because I need to come out here and take these dead spent blooms off because there are plenty new blooms growing. You can see that, but yeah, I need to come and get those off. The runner beans are nicely going up the trellis now. These are more cucumbers that's also going up the trellis, and you can see we have some cucumbers starting to come in. More dill mixed in there with it, and I need to take a good amount of time to pull all of these off. Right behind it or beside it, we have some more roselle or sorrel, whichever one you call it, back here too. And they grew there last year, grew really well there last year, so I just put them back there this year. And then on the other side of that bed, you have some more peppers. I think these are both shishito peppers. So I've harvested off of these as well. So lots of shishito peppers in the garden. Shishito peppers are my favorite, and so I put them everywhere. I grow a lot of shishito peppers because I love them. I mean, they are so delicious. We also have borage back here. These are the candy roaster squash. They aren't super large yet, but we will see. This is a volunteer borage and I just left it. But there's more candy roaster squash back here. There is this terrible watermelon plant, but you know how that go with me. And look at that. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I'm not gonna do anything to it. I'm not gonna do anything to it, right? But yeah, saw that. That didn't make me excited. And there are also some marigolds over here in this bed. So it's like a big hodgepodge of things. And I like to grow like that. I don't like lines. I don't like everything in one bed. I like to mix it up. The reason why I do it in my mind is if it's all over the garden, if a pest finds it in one place, it'll stay there and leave the rest of it alone. That's just my thinking. All right beside it, we have the other Vigo garden bed that is growing this humongous sunflower. There's sunflowers everywhere. I always forget to show y'all, but look. Humongous sunflower, and it's a multi-head sunflower that I'll probably never get to use inside the house because it is so tall and I would never be able to get to the top of it, but it's pretty to look at. But there are more tomatoes. These are my cherry tomatoes over here, and so this is my sun gold one. This is what I ate off of yesterday, and see, we got some more that's starting to blush. Even up here, there's some that's blushing, but I don't think those are sun golds. Right in the front, there are more sun golds up there. Well, more cherry tomatoes up there. And then this bed was supposed to be borage. That sunflower volunteered itself. I threw some zinnias in here, and that one is about to give us a zinnia. So that's beautiful, but the bed itself looks a bit messy. Back here. This is on the side where the amaranth is and the cuckoozy gourds and the butterfly flower. We just threw those lanceolado kale back here. They're being eaten up pretty much back here, but we'll see what happens. And then there's another random squash plant back here too. And the last line before you get to the flower bed are our paste tomatoes. And so the paste tomatoes are not doing nearly as well as the slicer tomatoes right now. But again, like I said, we are going to water in the bag and we are going to fertilize today. Now it's growing quite a bit of tomatoes, right? And not all of them have blossom end rot. That's like a small amount right there on that one. But the tomatoes are growing and that has a small amount too. This is a Amish paste and I'm not getting any blossom end rot on those. It's more of these type, the Roma type, I guess, that are giving me blossom end rot. Like, see, this one right here is blushing. I dropped it, but the whole blossom end of it has rotted out. So, same with the ones up here. I'm just gonna go ahead and pull them. Blossom end rot, all rotted. Lucky for me, these will also grow up until my last frost. So I'm gonna figure out what's going on with them. I'm gonna fix it and we're gonna move along. Last area in the garden, this is the sedum. How beautiful is that plant, right? Last year I pulled them from over there because I was like, oh, I don't like the way that plant looks. But in the flower bed, it's beautiful. Like my spot check, y'all. In the flower bed, it is beautiful. So left that, planted the other one that I pulled. I put it in the compost pile, but then it just started growing. So I pulled it out of the compost pile, put it back in the flower bed. The flower bed has been my nemesis if you've been here for a while. And so we have some zinnias here that are about to grow for us, about to give us some zinnias. So excited to see those. There's a dahlia back there. I didn't realize that sedum was going to get that big, so that dahlia is struggling. There's a lot of foxgloves in here as well. The milkweed is going to seed. There's some echinacea in here. These foxgloves are the oldest foxgloves we have, and they look horrible. But we have some more echinacea. We have a zinnia coming in. This beautiful one right here. And then I had planted some coxcomb down here, and that's starting to grow too. So if you remember, I planted a whole bunch of tiny starts over here, really small seedlings. Didn't survive. I wasn't here. They didn't get water. There's another thing I always forget to show y'all, and you probably don't even know that it's in my garden because I literally always forget to show y'all. I had to take them sleeves off. My arms was getting like really hot. So let me show y'all this. We got to get through the asparagus for me to show you. But did you know I have lemongrass? It's growing in a bag, but I have lemongrass and it looks really good. I love it. Oh, and I still have chamomile over here too. I moved this from over where I put the seating area. Oh, look at that, y'all. Beautiful snapdragons. Look, 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 look. Ah! So for everyone who asked me, how do you keep the pest off? I do not keep the pest off. I don't keep them off. I just don't, I don't overthink them being here. I really don't, but I don't keep them off. And for that one, it's on the tree collards. So I'm not gonna do anything with those tree collards right now. Anyway, let it stay on the tree collards. So, all right, let's go over here into this greenhouse that I have not been in a while, and there's a whole spider web across the opening of it. Everybody brace yourself. Oh, it looked terrible, y'all. It looks terrible in here. Brace yourself, right? Oh my God, it looks horrible. It's okay. Oh, look at that though. When I say, look at that. It's a lime zinnia that's trying to grow. Cause girl, why? Cause why are you even trying? I do need to water in here. But I'm gonna pull this stuff out and I'm gonna put something else in here. I don't know what just yet. And I may end up at a big box store just grabbing something. Also, oh! This one too. Look terrible. But these are herbs, so I could probably water them really well and they would start growing again. Herbs are very resilient. And I don't know if I had showed y'all this before either, but one of my old totes that I used for compost a long time ago, it grows potatoes every year. Grows potatoes every year. Potatoes never amount to anything, and I think it's because it's like way too rich. Like I said, it was a compost pile. So they never really amount to anything. but they do grow, so that's cool. Oh, I'll show y'all the orchard area from the outside because we're not going in there, as I always say. But look, I think I have peaches that's ready to go. Last year I harvested them way too late, so they rotted on the table. We ate a few, but a lot of them rotted on the table. But let me show you. Look at all of those peaches. Y'all see it? Like, I really think this one is good. Oh yeah, that one is good. It's it's got a plant or something on it, leaf on it. But look at that. Look at that. Beautiful peach right out my backyard. So excited. But look, that's a peach tree too. None of the limbs broke. There were a few people who were concerned that like the limbs were gonna break. They didn't break. They are like leaning down, but they did not break. I have said it before that I feel like the tree is gonna do what the tree needs to do to support whatever fruit it's gonna be able to support. And that's what happened there. There were a lot of peaches that did fall off, but the ones that are still there are still growing, and I'm pretty sure they are ready for harvest. The rose bushes are looking a little bit dead, but I think they'll be fine. There's still strawberries at the bottom. The comfrey's doing well. All of the other herbs are doing well. I still don't have any fruit on my apple tree, but this apple tree doesn't look nearly as bad as it normally does with the brown spot. Yeah, so that's that. Oh, I see another spider, but it's looking good in here, y'all. So the day is getting started. I'm in an urban setting. My neighbors are out and about and they are doing summer things and I love it. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Don't forget to visit me over on Instagram where I post about the things going on in the garden almost every day. Bye, y'all. Okay, so before we end this video, I hope you did enjoy it, but we're gonna try this peach together. I'm gonna rinse it off. Just interested to see what it tastes like. It's so sweet, y'all. The skin is a little tough. Oh my goodness. But the inside of this peach is so sweet. I'm going to get, yeah. Maybe I should leave it for a little while because the skin is so tough, you think? It's just sweet and juicy though. But that was good. The skin is tough still, so maybe I need to leave it for a week or two. But it was delicious. Bye, y'all.